Hello and good Friday evening to you all. Welcome to the triumphant return of the NRL, and we are already in our 7th season. It is honestly mind-boggling how fast time truly flies by. My name is Toon, and I am proud, as always, to be accompanied by the amazing talent this league has on offer. I am speaking of the one and only Slow-Mo, and I'm also accompanied by a familiar face both on track and in the booth, Leo. Slow-Mo, we have done this for 7 seasons now. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm so excited to get our 7th season underway here. Really anxious to see what amazing combos we're going to get. Ignati always brings out some really good combos. So just pumped to see what we're going to have for this season. Lots and lots of very skilled drivers have signed up.
Yeah, I've noticed we keep getting better and better drivers, both new faces and old, each time we roll this around, and I can't wait to see what we have in store. Now, over to you, Leo. You've been around for quite some time as well, and we definitely missed seeing you for a good portion of last season. How's it feel to be back?
It feels great, man. Unfortunately, due to some work constraints and weather constraints, had to miss a couple of races. Um, but I am excited to be back. I was actually, before I got into the booth, I was reminiscing on how long this has actually been going. I kind of came into this in season 2, and I can't believe it's gotten as big as it has. Although, who could not expect that from the great racing that we've seen and have gotten to watch and be a part of, to see how big this thing's gotten, and for 7 seasons, it's amazing, and I can't wait to see how these drivers fare this season.
I can't wait to see how everything shakes up either. And yeah, time just seriously gets the better of us and slips on by. Now, with all that said, we would love to take this time to thank our sponsors for this season. We would like to start off by thanking the DGDR podcast for continuing to support us as we go into our 7th season. This fan favorite high octane weekly podcast is where 4 drivers from the PDX Sim team take you inside the world of motorsport and sim racing. From breaking news to heated debates, wild stories to pro tips, these guys cover it all with passion, humor, and just the right amount of chaos. For your podcast fix, these are available on all platforms with new weekly episodes dropped every Monday. We would also love to welcome and thank Trails and Custom Construction for sponsoring the NRL this season. If you are in the beautiful city of Charlotte, North Carolina, or the surrounding areas and feel your home really doesn't speak to you, then look no further than Trails and Custom Construction. This family-owned and operated company offers bespoke solutions including furniture, home building, cabinets, and much more. They will work closely with you to bring your dream home to life right before your very eyes, both on time and within budget. With nothing but 5-star reviews online, you can trust that your dream home is in great hands. Once again, that's Trails and Custom Construction, building your dream homes and cabinetry that tell your story. Thank you so much for your support this season. We would also like to thank Hankey's Tavern, situated in charming Old Town Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri, for their continued support. If great food, great drinks, and great company are what you're looking for, then look no further than Hankey's Tavern. If you're in the St. Louis area, then stop on by and watch the NRL broadcast live on their many large screen TVs, and make sure you let them know that the NRL sent you. We would also like to thank another returning sponsor for their continued support in Little J CPA, turning streams and side hustles into smart money moves. Whether you're building a small business, growing a brand, or cashing in on streaming income, we'll help you track earnings, maximize deductions, and keep more of what you work for. You focus on the building, we'll handle the numbers. Thank you all for helping make each season bigger and better than the last. And with that, it's now time we take a look at the details for tonight's pre-qualifying round. For our pre-qualifying round, we go to sunny-ish Atlanta, and our drivers will be driving the Porsche 911 GT3R 992 2022 model. They will have a 20-minute time limit with a 3 times tire and 3 times fuel consumption limit, a staggering refueling rate of 2 liters a second, They will be on racing soft tires only. It'll be racing at twilight, so that track will be a little bit cooler, and it's going to be a great race for sure. Now, making our way over to the points allocations, we kick it on over to Slow-Mo for the time-honored tradition of explaining how it worked.
Yeah, thank you, Toon. So there are points that are available during qualifying. You'll see the top third are going to come out of qualifying with 5 points, the middle third, 3 points. And if you're in the bottom third, you obviously risk not making the season and will not bring any points forward out of qualifying.
Thank you very much, Slow-Mo. Making our way over to the driver lineup for our first split of the evening. We have Aji the Squirrel, Bacon Dance, Lyric, MD Hawk 2, MK3TT WHR, PHG Jersey, S7R Wid, Shred, Super Fun Happy, VIP Left to Pass You, and VIP Rowdy Burns. Listed next to their names are their Twitch and or YouTube presences should it be applicable, and feel free to open up a tab and take a look at their perspective, but make sure you leave this tab unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. All right, Road Atlanta, a time-honored favorite for many of us in this booth. One of my personal favorites, one of Leo's personal favorites. Slow-Mo, I can't tell. Do you enjoy this track or no?
I do absolutely love Road Atlanta. So all three of us, how about that?
Yeah. I know our commissioner doesn't really have fond memories of this track, but that's okay. Everybody has their own personal taste. But before we get on track, it's interesting because I did see a plethora of new faces in there, such as Aji the Squirrel, Bacon Dance, and then we also had familiar faces like MK3TT Wid, who's just racing around everybody in this promotion and other promotions. Then we've got Jersey. I don't know what to expect. And I know I say that every season, but with new talent coming out of the woodworks every time, these rosters getting more and more competitive, I don't know what to expect. Leo, do you have any expectations for tonight's pre-qualifying festivities?
If I did, I would probably go buy a lottery ticket because that's how lucky I would be to guess on what's going to happen. I know these times are going to be fast. The newcomers, if they haven't been practicing, they should have been months ago to keep up with the people that have already been here.
No, I could see that. A lot of these drivers are very focused and very dedicated to improving. Now let's see how it's all going to shake up on track as we jump on board with S7R Wid, who is currently heading through the turn, and will he make sure to avoid track limits? Looks like he will, as he heads on down towards, as they call it, the turkey leg, heading into the braking zone for the first time of this 20-minute time limit split. He's got honestly, Wid has a reputation that precedes him, and you can go and look at other seasons, other promotions. If he's in there, you know that Wid is a very formidable racing driver. He is also a part of Team Sector 7 Racing with a Logitech Pro wheel, driving on a manual gearbox, and the last appearance was Season 6 Division A, Final P2 at Daytona Road Course. So I think Wid's going to be trying to go for the gold on this one if I had to wager any guesses there, Leo.
Yeah, I mean, he's I'm not mistaken, he did win a championship one season, and then Jorge came out of nowhere and kind of took last season from him. So I know he's been chomping at the bit to take that title back, if I'm not mistaken.
I do not believe you are. If I didn't see Jorge on this driver lineup for this split, so we might see him in a later split. Oh, I'm getting word from production he's on Saturday, so it looks like we won't be seeing those two duke it out until the grand finals, should they both progress that far. Now, as we jump on board with Shred, who got a little squirrely near the wall that we affectionately refer to as McWally, due to a commissioner's penchant for getting close to it. Shred is currently leading the charge at the moment on the hot laps, coming through the penalty zone and the third time check. Now, Shred is a free agent on a automatic transmission, and this is Shred's NRL debut. So this will be a very pivotal moment for the aforementioned driver, as all eyes will be on him, seeing what he can't do, not only from you at home, but his fellow competitors in this league. It should also be noted that we do actually, for the first time in very recent memory, have enough drivers in these pre-qualifying splits to where some of them might not make it to the season proper. We have about 38 drivers, only 28 spots, so some might not make the cut. So I really hope all of these drivers do go and give their all today on the track. Making our way over to Bacon Dance, who is also a free agent, driving on a Thrustmaster T300 on a manual transmission, is also making his NRL debut. So the same could be said for Bacon Dance, as we just alluded to with Shred. As we see Bacon Dance coming down into the hard braking zone and taking a good right turn, keeping it on the line and not going and touching the grass. Then a little squirrely coming out of the second corner of the turkey leg and on up the hill. I don't think that's going to cost him too much as we head towards the time check. We'll have to see what his time is sitting at. His current fastest lap is a 1:17.591. Not a bad time whatsoever, and he is 900ths, almost a tenth up on his personal fastest lap. That will put him even closer to Wid. As he comes through turn 10 and 11, how's this going to shake up? Get a little squirrely, feathering the throttle, and coming up the hill. Will he carry enough momentum to keep that time down? Or did something cause him to scrub enough speed? We'll see right about now. And it looks like he was able to shave a little over a tenth off, so that puts the deficit between him and Wid to 2/10, just under a quarter of a second, folks. Making our way over to MD Hop, who is starting his hot lap and coming through turn 1, keeping a nice line, running a little wide, but not too wide. And coming into the chicane of turns 2 and 3, getting a little squirrely on turn 2 and keeping it off the curbing into turn 3. Into turn 4, going downhill and up through turn 5 and 6. Round in turn 7, how's this going to fare? Getting onto that curbing and staying just within track limits. MD Hop is, of course, a free agent on an automatic transmission. Last appearance was at Season 5, Round 3, finished P7 at Dragon Trail Gardens. He has a career 9 starts, no wins, 2 podiums, and 7 top 10s. So I think MD Hop could use that sabbatical between 5 and 7 of our seasons to show how much he's improved, and maybe he'll be making some waves. On to the backstretch, we have MD Hop getting ready to come through the time check, and what's he sitting at? He is down almost a quarter of a second on his personal fastest lap, but luckily he does have a little under 15 minutes to go to try and make up for that. Now, Leo, I did notice we have new statistics on the timing on the driver cars. That was a very nice touch. What do you think about the new stats with the drivers' starts and wins and podiums?
Well, it's a welcome addition. With a little bit more stats, I think I heard something about there's a fantasy league going on now for NRL, so that's cool. That could be an advantage for those people doing that. It looks like we got super fun going into the pits here.
Yep, it looks like Super Fun is going to be getting some more fuel and also getting some more tires. That 2 liters a second refuel time, though, that's definitely that's going to keep him there for a minute. Now taking a look over at Rowdy Burns, who is coming down the hill and getting onto the anchors. Headlights are on, keeping everything nice and neat, staying away from the curbing, clipping a little bit of that grass and trying to find the optimal racing line. VIP Rowdy Burns is part of Team Victory in Performance Racing from the good old land up north in Canada, driving on a Logitech Pro wheel with a manual gearbox. And this is also Rowdy's NRL debut. We've got a lot of new faces in this split, and I'm actually very eager to see how this all shakes out for them. Coming through turns 10 and 11, even though it's supposed to be 10A, 10B, it doesn't make sense. And on up the hill towards the final corner, what is Rowdy going to do? It looks like Rowdy is opting to go into the box. So looks like Rowdy will go and get some fuel, and we jump over to Aji the Squirrel. I do hope I am saying that correctly. Going on up the hill, it looks like on his outlap, and was he... Okay, no, he wasn't side by side with left to pass. It looks like left to pass was letting him through, which good show of sportsmanship there. Coming through the time check, we won't be seeing anything for Aji because it is the outlap. Now, Aji is a free agent from the good old US of A on a manual transmission, making his NRL debut. Honestly, I have not been keeping track. I think that's 4 drivers so far in this split making their NRL debut, so this is exciting to see. Now, Aji does come across the line to start his hot lap with a little bit of gusto as he comes into turn 1, staying in 4th gear, getting right up to that curb and letting it run wide. Looks like good carrying of momentum there as he comes into turn 2, getting all of that curving, getting a little squirrely, but is able to hold on to it. Getting around turn 3 and into turn 4, going down the hill, getting a little squirrely again. I guess Aji the Squirrel is a very fitting name for this gentleman. And getting up onto the curbing, getting a little squirrely yet again, and down the hill into turn 7, I believe. Onto the braking zone and hammering back on the throttle, back onto the brakes, trailing off a little bit and easing onto that throttle. Going up the hill now to the time check. We'll have to see where Aji's sitting. And it looks like I am saying it correctly, so whew, thank goodness. Now into the timing check. What will it be? He's up by a 10th at the moment, but we are not even halfway through this qualifying split, so tons of time. Anything can happen, anything will happen. That's just the nature of motorsport and the NRL. Looked like kicked up quite a bit of dirt heading into the final corner, so I hope that didn't slow him down too much. Coming across the line, it didn't. He was only down 0.03 of a second on that one, so I think Aji's going to be getting that momentum rolling, and hopefully we'll be seeing him move up some places in the leaderboard. As we jump on over to VIP, left to pass you, coming up into the chicane of turn 2 and 3, getting onto the curbing, but not taking too much, rocking a wonderful stand-up to cancer livery, probably made by dear old veteran of the NRL Sugar Shuffles. Making his way down through turn 6 onto the curbing, and I'd say that was pretty clean. Down 0.06 of a second, but looks like no penalty, so all's well that ends well. Now, Left to Pass You is also part of Team Victory and Performance Racing from the land of the free, home of the brave, in the United States of America, driving the Fanatec DD Pro on a manual gearbox. Last time we saw Left to Pass You was last season in round 3. Unfortunately, did not start at Sardinia Windmills. We are very happy to see you back in top racing form there, Left to Pass You. And as we come through the timing checks, he's down 0.08 of a second and moving on into turn 10. How are we going to see? Looks like got a good amount of curbing, and into turn 11, also a solid amount of curbing, and off to the races we go, both figuratively and literally. Coming around the final corner and across the line, it will be a 1:18.035, 0.02 of a second under his personal fastest lap. I'd say that is some top-tier consistency. Coming up through turn 1, will Left to Pass You be able to shave that time? We will have to find out. Taking a look at Shred, who is currently sitting in P3 overall, just about 0.2 of a second under Bacon Dance at this current juncture. And heading towards the time check. Oh, this is an outline. My apologies. And heading into the driver's perspective of S7R's Wid, aka good old Widabuddy, is currently leading the charge by 0.2 of a second. And honestly, I don't think Wid's done there. Kicking the tail end out of that S7R stylized Porsche GT3. I think he's just getting warmed up. We've got 4 minutes left. Anything will happen, anything can happen. And I think Wid's gonna pull a last minute miracle and probably get us closer to the 1:16s if I had to hedge a bet. Coming into the downhill section for turn 10, Wid is getting on the brakes, coasting on through and feathering on out. Coming through turn 11, getting right up on that curbing and just belting it on through. Getting a little close to that grass yet again, maybe doing some part-time landscaping there. He crosses the line down just a little over 1/4 of a second, but that will not deter him. Making our way over to PHG's very own Lyric. Coming into the braking zone for turns 10 and 11. Going through turn 10 just fine and coming out with a very safe maneuver through turn 11. Lyric is part of Team Papa's House of Game on the Fanatec DD Pro, driving on a manual gearbox. We last saw him at Season 6, Round 3, where he finished P6 at Sardinia Windmills. Now, he's had 6 career starts, 1 0 wins, 1 podium, and 4 top 10 finishes. Slow-mo, we've got quite a bit to work here. We've got newcomers that are really putting the pressure on our esteemed veteran in Wid. So do you think the likes of Left to Pass You, Shred, Bacon Dance, and Audrey the Squirrel will give the status quo a bit of a shakeup this season?
Well, I think they absolutely could. I mean, honestly, the question in a lot of people's minds right now is, where is the cut? What does it take to make Division A? What does it take to make Division B? And those are the questions we're looking forward to answering tonight. So keep your eyes on those times. Don't forget, because of Wid's finishing position in the previous season, he's pretty much safe. So, he doesn't have a whole lot to lose. He can go out here and really run a good ride with very little to lose.
Yeah, I honestly agree with that. Wid does have a sense of comfort just due to the track record that he has. But I honestly, something tells me that some of these newer faces will give quite a bit of a shakeup to the mentality of some of these drivers, because some of these drivers have been racing against each other for 1 or more seasons, so they're familiar with their driving styles, their patterns, and things of that nature. So I'm gonna err on the side of it might be a bit of a mind game, an unknown element for some of these drivers, especially those that get slotted into Division A, because Division A, they are very tense. Now taking a look over at MD Hop going up the hill and heading towards turn 10. Currently, the last lap was a 1:53.298, I believe, according to the timing board. Currently down 1/10 of a second. And going into turn 10, let's see if MD Hop can shave off any of that time. Coming out through turn 11 and onto the curbing and belting on through. Looks like the car is doing everything it can to rev down the hill, getting a good amount of curbing, and was able to shave about 500, actually about 700ths of a second off his time. So you're very right. I got a correction from production. Thank you for that. Now moving over to Bacon Dance in turn 2, coming over into, turn 3 and down the hill through turns 4, 5, and 6. Looks like Bacon Dance was just gracefully moving through there. It was almost like watching a ballet in a sense. Down 400ths of a second on his current fastest lap as we come through turn 7, getting onto the curbing and into the braking zone for turn 8, keeping everything nice and neat, really using all the track afforded to him. Now, as Bacon Dance makes his way up the hill, we're going to see what that timing looks like, and was the exuberance through turns 7 and 8 beneficial? We'll find out right about now, as he is currently a little over 1/10 of a second, almost 1/10 and a half down. So let's see what happens for turn 10 and 11. Again, through turn 11, making sure to use all the curb on the side and coming down the hill, staying off the curbing for the final corner and moving across the line. Wasn't able to close that gap enough, unfortunately, so it'll be another red lap, but I mean, staying within 1/10, that's nothing to scoff at. As Wid comes across the line down 0.3 of a second, and Shred comes down 4 seconds off the personal fastest lap. I'm curious what seems to be going on. Not sure if the drivers are trying to get back into the rhythm or what. We'll just have to wait and see, as Audrey the Squirrel comes down 3 seconds off of his personal fastest lap. This is interesting. Slow-mo, normally at this point in qualifyings, we see people taking huge chunks out of their time, but everybody's slowing down a little bit. What do you think could be going on?
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, with the way that the sun is setting, maybe they're losing a little bit of those tire temps, having trouble keeping them up. Maybe just losing ever so bit of grip that's causing those times to decrease.
And honestly, at the rate this sun's going down, that definitely has to be the culprit. these drivers were starting out so strong, and they just, yeah, I guess the track temps were causing them to run out of steam. Ooh, almost a bit of congestion between MD Hop and Bacon Dance into the turn lane. As we see Wood going rallycross, and can he hold it? Oh, no, and the wall, but no damage for Wood. That is detrimental. It looks like Wood's gonna have to go into the box. That is unfortunate to see. Well, it looks like there was no damage or anything of that nature, but let's go and take a look at the replay. So we have Wid coming through turn 10. Everything's okay. Getting a little too much of the grass on turn 11, causing him to understeer out and just lose traction on the grass. And by God, he tried. Wid definitely tried to hold on, and hats off to him for being able to get through that with no damage, without any collateral. It's just, you hate to see it. But Wid definitely has enough time to at least get this out lap and one more last hurrah of a flying lap in, as there's a minute 53 seconds left on the clock. Making our way over to Lyric, who held a bit of a drift there, hooked the tire on the inside of that curb and come through turn 3. Lyric is doing everything he can to try and shave off as much time as humanly possible. The deficit between himself and Audrey the Squirrel is a little over a tenth, really 0.133 of a second. So as long as Lyric can put the pieces together within the next minute and 20 seconds, I think we'll see a last grasp for a P5, or at least a top 5 position overall. Now, Rowdy Burns, on the other hand, has to shave off a little over a quarter of a second. Ooh, getting a little dodgy there between Lyric and Shred. Shred got really close before he took that overtake. Using all the slipstream available, I'm not 100% sure, but at least there was no incident. Now, Shred is sitting about a 0.132 of a second ahead of Leptopasiu, and is 0.3 down on Bacon Dance. So I think he's another driver that also needs to really have a almost masterful lap. Now, as the outlap ends, Shred will be starting his final lap for this qualifying split. Now we're going to see what is going on here as we see Shred go up and through. Looks like everything is fine. Moving his way down the hill for the final time. Getting a little squirrely up through P5 and into P6. Getting all that curbing on the entrance and exit. And going down into turn 7. Let's see how he takes this. A little late on the brakes and hammering onto that throttle, back onto the anchors, getting that car rotated, and up the hill we go. I think Shred may have shaved at least a little bit of time on that one. So as we see Shred head to the time check for the final time, let's see if there is a chance for a P2. It doesn't look like that'll be the case this go around. But a valiant effort to Shred no less as he comes through turns 10 and 11 for the final time. Making our way over to Bacon Dance as he comes through the final corner for the last time and across the line. What will that last time be? And into the wall. And there goes Shred. Where did Bacon Dance go? Okay. Well, taking a look over at Wid, will he best his time? And no, by 1/100th of a second. Oh, that was so close. You just can't argue that level of consistency from these drivers. That is magnificently practiced. Now making our way over into the classified qualifying results. Taking the fastest lap overall will be S7R's Wid with a 1:17.275. Coming in P2 down by 0.02 of a second. My goodness, blink and you'll miss it, was Bacon Dance with a 1:17.304. Rounding out our top 3 for this pre-qualifying split will be Shred with a 1:17.694, down almost half a second. So Bacon Dance really gave it all the gusto he could in that last lap. Making our way down the grid, we have VIP Leptopasiu and Audrey the Squirrel in P4 and 5 respectively, rounding out our top 5. Making our way down the grid, we have PHG Lyric with a 1:18.1, followed by VIP Rowdy Burns with a 1:18.427. Very close behind him, though, by not even 0.07 of a second, was MD Hop 2 with a 1:18.496. That was a very, very interesting qualifying session for. Oh, I'm sorry, and we also had one in P9, super happy, super fun happy, with a 118.863. So yeah, that was a quite the qualifier. Slow-mo, you saw quite a bit of the action. So what did you think of our new faces for this season?
Well, the new faces put some really good times in here tonight. Very competitive. Certainly, we know they're coming in here with something to prove, right? So these guys are representing their team. They want to do as good as they can. That was really exciting. I mean, as we got through the first split, the question I mentioned earlier, we're wondering kind of what it's going to take to get into Division A and what it's going to take to get into Division B. You start to see that shape up a little bit. So I wonder is it do you have to run something better than a 118 to be a Division A driver, and maybe something better than a 119 to be a B guy, A B. I might have said that backwards, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it really cool to see these new guys come out and put their name in the hat and get up in the mix with some of these NRL drivers that we know have showed their talent and skill throughout the previous 6 seasons.
You make a lot of really good points, and it does raise a question I want to ask to you and Leo, but I'll start with you, Slow-mo. What do you think the bubble is for A to B? Because we saw quite a bit of 117s, and we saw a few 118s. Do you think that's going to be the case, or do you think it's going to be by an even tighter margin?
Honestly, I will say I think it's going to be a tighter margin. I think you're going to have to run a 17-8 somewhere in that neighborhood to make the A division. As far as the B division goes, I really think you're going to have to put in something better than an 18-7, maybe an 18-6 to be able to get into B.
I could see that, and I want to get Leo's thoughts on it, and then I'll give mine real quick. Leo, what do you think the cutoff is from A to B and B to not making it to the season?
Well, Tune, I'm gonna have to Price is Right slow-mo here. I'm thinking a little lower for A, like a 17, low 17, 117. Is where I'm thinking A is going to
Yeah.
start with, and then a high 117 for Division A. And for B, I would say about a high 117 to 18.5, maybe
Yeah.
118.5 would be B. Might be, but
All right.
it's going to be close this season. I can already see it with the times that we saw just in that qualifying round.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with you. My thoughts for the cutoff from divisions A to B, I think if you do about a 117.65 to 117.68, you'll be comfortably in A. 117.7 to maybe a 118.4 is going to be
Okay.
the cutoff for B, and then anything from 118, 4001 to 119, I think that'll be the going home time. But for those of you watching at home, please share your thoughts and speculate as well. Join in the fun. We are going to take a brief intermission, and when we come back, we will have split 2. So grab a snack, take care of whatever you need, and we'll be right back at you here momentarily. All right, welcome back, everybody. We had quite the interesting split one, and I can't wait to see what split two has in store for us. So, without any further ado, let's go and take a look at the race detail screen with Leo, man in the helm.
Thanks, Tune. Well, we are at Road Atlanta for those who just tuned in. A very synonymous track with all of us. We love it. Some of us more than others. We are in the Porsche 911 GT3 R992 22 model. Going to be a 20-minute qualifying session with tire wear at 3 times, fuel consumption at 3 times, refueling rate at 2 liters a second. During a sunny but twilight time, the soft tires are going to be required, and that is the only tire available. Moving on over to slow-mo for the points allocation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leo. So as we talked about before, if you're just joining us, this is a pre-qualifying, but there are points at stake. If the drivers qualify in that top third of the day, they're going to get 5 points. If they're in the middle third, they will take 3 points forward out of pre-qualifying. And if they're in the bottom third, they risk elimination and will not take any points forward. So that is per day, as you see there. So there will be points awarded to both Friday and Saturday drivers.
And moving on over to the driver lineup, we have Alicos 1, Angry Fredbird, a fan favorite of slow-mos. I do not know how to pronounce that person's name, so Drumbo, apologies. Flopbuster? All right. Flopster? I'm getting that from production that I am currently butchering ever's name, so I apologize. IRO Fishtail, Negative Waves, PDX Sim PSVR2, PHG Strict 9, PROD Captain Slow as our drivers for this Split 2 qualifying session. Below their names and or next to them are their places where you can find them on Twitch, YouTube, and or the World Wide Web. So if you would like to go check them out while this is going on and see from their perspective, but please leave this tab open so that way you don't miss any of the action up here in the booth.
And with all of that said, we do have a good spread of drivers, new and old, for this one. So I think we're going to be seeing a bit of a repeat from Split 1. Slomo, do you think we're going to be seeing some surprises from veterans such as Alicos or Fredbird or maybe IORT Fishtail this season, since we've had such a gap between season 6 and 7?
I don't know if there's going to be any surprises per se. I think you're definitely going to see these guys doing very well and pretty much falling in line with what you saw in that previous stint. As we talked about, everybody is targeting that low 17 mark to try to get themselves up into the A division. So that's my expectation. You know how these guys are; they can always surprise us here in the NRL. So.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I am a sucker for surprises, especially from established veterans and new faces such as Drobo and Flopster, or even Prod Captain Slow. So I have high expectations for not only our veterans, but our newer faces as well. Leo, do you think we've got any dark horses in this split? New faces that have your attention, veterans that you think have been putting in that extra effort in between seasons?
I know a few of them names, but I haven't seen too many of them. Just gonna put my thumb on IRO Fishtail. That is going to be who I think who's going to show some major improvement since he's been around, and we all know how he does things.
Yep, and it looks like we got a little bit of argy-bargy already. A little door nudging between Flopster and Angry Fredbird. Now, as we get the outlaps underway, I think the best person to give us their perspective on the thoughts of dark horses in terms of new faces and returning veterans is S7R's own Wid Buddy. Thank you for being in the booth with us, Wid. How are you feeling after your qualifying stint?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Qualifying was, I mean, it went okay, I guess. I always hope to do better, like beat my personal best, but to run like 17.2 like right off the bat, I can't really be too angry about that.
Yeah, that was a really good time. And honestly, I thought you were going to hit the 116 territory with how fast you were moving around that track. So given the track temperatures, time of day, and also the newness of this car, what were the keys to success that you really had to nail down in practice before you came up here tonight?
For me, it's making sure to just like be very smooth, especially through the first sector. I think I had a lot of problems early on dealing with tire temperatures and overheating them, and it would kind of ruin the rest of my lap if I pushed a little bit too hard. Or I mean, you can hear these tires squealing right now through this first sector. So it's just very important to maintain a steady line and keep your speed up while also being smooth. You know, track limits are a big thing. Car, like rotating the car in the corners, especially in these two corners right here, and especially this second tighter corner, getting a really good exit. That's really, really important, and that can make a big lap.
Speaking of things that can make or break a lap, I just did notice Flopster do something I don't recall seeing anybody else do. Leaving the leg of the track, I saw Flopster go down into first instead of just riding out in second. I understand that it's for rotation purposes, but he didn't do it in the time-honored GT7 tradition of the down-up super fast. What do you think somebody would go all the way down to first instead of just riding out in second like everybody else does?
Well, I mean, you do typically go down in the first rotation, as you said, but I think you mean like he accelerated out in first.
Yeah, he accelerated out in
second. Yeah, you know, that corner right there is right on the edge between first and second, and if you don't have decent car rotation or you're just taking a bad line, it's faster to cut your losses and take it in first. I think the optimal way to take it is to downshift into first, and then before you get to the apex, upshift into second so that you can get on the throttle quicker, and then just boom out into second. So, you know, it depends on the driver. I think if your line's compromised, then it's better to accelerate out in first.
Okay. Leo, got any questions for good old Wid?
Well, he kind of already stated it. I was going to ask him what part of the track was the most difficult to nail down. But I think he said right where the turkey leg begins was one of the most crucial parts. What would be another crucial part for these drivers to figure out how to get around this track fast in this combo?
I mean, really the first sector is where it's the toughest part, especially this blind corner right here, coming over it and into that corner. That's extremely difficult. If you go a little bit too fast or cut it too short, your car will hop, and then you'll get all out of shape and go into the grass and lose traction in time. And then if you take it too easy, well then there goes your lap, because you've taken away all that momentum. So that first sector is really, really important, especially that blind corner.
Yeah, I agree. Getting onto that tabletop is probably the most difficult, and then judging how much speed you need for the first corner is what I would consider the hardest part for me personally. But that's a very good point. That blind corner, man, you hit it wrong, you're going in the grass or get the car upset. It's awful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and even in the first corner, like the very first corner, that can ruin your entire first sector. If you go offline there, it'll set you up wrong for braking into that tabletop area. So that whole first sector is just immediate first corner. Set yourself up well, and then you'll have a good rest of the lap.
Now, Slow-Mo, do you have any questions for good old Wid?
Yeah, certainly, Whit. Great job there. Tell us a little bit about your qualifying strategy. 20 minutes seems like a lot of time, but it looked from our perspective that as the sun was getting lower, the time started to come up a little bit. So, was there a strategy to get a good banker lap in nice and early? And were you saving fuel early on to ensure that you had maybe enough to make one last pit stop or anything to that extent?
I wish I could tell you that everything I did was according to some sort of strategy, but really, if you looked at my times, you'd see that I was all over the place. I'm really inconsistent on this track. I struggle a lot with it. All the areas I suggested that were problem areas for most drivers were huge problem areas for me. So there really wasn't any strategy according to the time of day or when to pit. It was just like. I pit after I had like a really bad lap and I didn't want to carry on, so I just went and got new tires. So a lot of times I would just take 4 laps of fuel and end up only running like 3 laps because the next lap wasn't really going to be any good. And then I just kind of did that until the end. But I mean, I don't know which view you were watching at the end, but I was running purples up until I think maybe the last sector. So time of day, whether it was getting darker or cooler, that didn't really affect me. It was my own driving that was mostly affecting me.
Okay. I know I talked to Fred a little bit, and one thing he was kind of talking about, it's like, well, if I'm coming around the last sector and it's not a great lap, maybe I'll pit then. So I could see how you kind of play it by ear, and it's like, well, that wasn't a great lap. Let's go ahead and get a fresh set of rubber here and get some fuel. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I bet that'll be what a lot of drivers do.
Now, I do want to pose this question for you, Wid. Since we are at the pre-qualifying stage, this is, what, your second or third season with the NRL? What is your sort of wish list for this season in terms of cars and or tracks, or a combination of both?
No, honestly, I think this is my 4th season. So...
apologies.
Yeah, it's okay. We can forget the last season. I didn't win a race. I forget it. You guys can too.
Okay.
So, I think, like all seasons, I love the variety in this series. So more of that. No snow tracks, hopefully, because I just don't know them. So, yeah, I'm hoping for that. And no oval tracks, but usually there aren't any oval tracks for Division 8.
Watch next week be an oval track and like some really obscure car. Actually, I think we had that last season. It would be interesting to see.
There's Division B races that have had ovals, but I don't know if any Division A races have had ovals when I've raced in the series.
Oh, well then, with that nugget of information, write this down. We gotta. Well, there might be an oval track. Who knows? We'll have to see what the cards hold in store. Are you hoping for either of the 2 new tracks to be included in this season with a wacky combo, or are you hoping for more familiar territory? Oh my goodness! Quickly interject on myself. Negative Waves is struggling at the moment through that downhill section. Just barely caught it to get into that uphill. I don't know if that was a case of showmanship or a loss of car control. And I mean, if it was the former over the latter, full marks for performance. Let's do a quick take a look here, and got on the grass, got on the curb, rinsed and repeat, did it 3 times for the hat trick, and full 4-wheel drifted it around that corner. Oh my goodness, you cannot teach that kind of car control. That is a God-given gift. Well done, Negative Waves. Now, it did slow him down, of course, but I don't think by too terribly much, given the exuberance of that 4-wheel drift. But yeah, back to my question for you. Do you want the new tracks, or do you want more familiar turf with the caliber of combinations we get in this league?
New tracks for sure. I mean, I'm sure they'll come up, but I'd like to see one. I'm not really confident on either tracks, but for variety's sake, I'll enjoy it.
Yes, for variety's sake, Nordschleife heavy rain in reverse. That'll be something.
Okay, your ovals and now that in the rain, you just want to see us suffer.
This is the Naughty Racing League. Every round, historically, they throw the kitchen sink at you guys. And what happens? You guys persevere. You become stronger, better drivers. There are more A-plus drivers accredited to this league than any other. Do not fact check me, but if I had to speculate, this league makes you an A-plus driver in some regards.
I suppose, but you don't see us crying ourselves to sleep every night.
No, but maybe there is a commissioner that enjoys. Your tears make him stronger. The more you cry, the better the races get. So your tears are for a noble cause, Wade. Think of the greater good.
Nothing goes to waste. Okay.
Waste not, want not. There you go.
That's right.
Now, as we take a look at MK3TT, who is coming on down the hill with 8.5 minutes remaining, finishing his hot lap, he actually shaved 3/10, almost 4 up of his personal fastest lap. He's now a little over 100th of a second behind IORT Fishtail. Correcting a few mistakes, that will definitely propel him up higher into the standings. Now, MK3TT WHR is part of Team Wheelhouse Racing on a manual gearbox. Last time we saw MK3 was in Season 6 Division B's final, where he finished P5 at Monza. He's had 4 career starts, no wins, no podiums, but 4 top 10s. This might be the year that we see some numbers in that win column for MK3TT, but only time will tell. As he's coming through turn 8, getting onto the curb a little bit and belting it on out, using all the track afforded to him. And up the hill, I think we might see that, well, actually now it's 14 thousandths of a second. I think it was 13 thousandths of a second a little while ago, but I could be misremembering. Unfortunately, MK3 is down almost half a second, so I don't think the golden time is now. Coming through turn 10 and 11, he'll finish off that lap as we jump over to Angry Fredbird. Coming through turn 6 and keeping everything where it should be. And
he is on an outlap. Yeah.
Oh, he's on an outlap? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, taking a look at the driver card for Angry Fredbird, part of Team Left Lane Racing, racing on the Fanatec DD Pro with a manual gearbox. Last time we saw Fred was Season 6, Round 3, where he finished P8 at the NRL Endurance. Has had a grand total of 18 career starts, no wins or podiums, but that is always subject to change, and has had 16 top 10s. So if anybody's got quite the chip on their shoulder for some podiums and some gold medals, I think it would be Fredbird. Now, Slow-Mo, you know Fredbird very, very well, as if you were brothers, because, well, you are. What was his mindset going into this season?
His mindset for this season is to do well, put in good amounts of practice, be ready, and make sure those guys know that he's not giving positions up for fun. So he's certainly out here to get himself moving up the grid a little bit. One of his mentalities for qualifying today was really to get a couple good bankers in, get himself situated to where he can then maybe push a little bit harder in some of those challenging sections like Lyd was talking about earlier. So, he's certainly doing a good job right now. He's got an 18.758 up there. And with about 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes left, he's got himself in a really good position to start dropping times here.
I agree with you. As we do approach the 5-minute mark, he is down a little bit, but yeah, I think Fredbird can pull off a miracle. He's got MK3TT, Fishtail, and PDX Sim PS VR2 ahead of him. But I think if all the pieces fall in line and he gets the nerve shaken out, he could definitely get further up the grid. As we move on up to Flopster, who is currently leading with a 117.374, coming across the line to start one of his final hot laps. Flopster is part of Team Wheelhouse Racing from the good US of A, and driving on the Logitech Pro wheel with a manual gearbox, making his NRL debut. And honestly, leading your split in your NRL debut is a good look. So is a little bit of showboating around turn 3. Very nicely done. Unfortunately, it does net him a half-second penalty for showboating, I guess. Or, I don't know how to chalk that up, but these track limits, as Whit alluded to earlier, definitely no joke. But as we are hitting the 4-minute mark, Whit, I want to pick your brain about one more thing. So you and Jorge just run circles in whatever leagues you guys are in. What pieces of advice for speed and consistency on tracks that aren't this would you want to give other drivers that are looking to improve?
I think the best sort of thing that other drivers can do is, I guess, learn to practice effectively. Some drivers just kind of run hot laps. They'll do a best lap, but they won't really know what they did differently for that lap. And they'll just kind of keep going. But really, you want to analyze every single corner, where you're braking, where you're turning in, and seeing how that's improved from your previous lap. And then that'll help you get faster and faster. And then once you do that, then you can start analyzing, what strategy you have to do during the race, because you need to know, like, once you get your lap times down, how your tires can affect those lap times. Are the mediums a second slower than the softs? Are they more? How does the fuel come into play? So I think the best thing every driver can do is just learn to practice effectively.
Okay, and in terms of practicing effectively, you did mention, looking at the corners, what was different. What does a normal practice regimen look like for you and your S7R cohorts?
So you, of course, want to drive the track immediately, get a feel for it, start, I guess, finding where you plateau. And that involves looking at every corner, seeing where you can do better, reviewing your laps. I mean, sometimes you might take a corner and you think, wow, that felt really good, but then you run a red sector and you don't know why. Well, maybe then it's time to look at your own replays and see what you've done differently. They added the telemetry system into the game, so that might help some people. I personally don't use it because it's a little much for me. But whatever helps you. I know that within our team, we'll have people that will post their best laps, and so we all learn from each other. I'm sure a lot of other teams do that as well, but that's a big help for me, is learning from other people's laps, as they're oftentimes doing something that I'm not doing or I don't even think to do, and it ends up being faster.
See, and that does bring up a good point of the importance of having community in sim racing, because if your only benchmark is yourself, then you really don't have anything to gauge yourself off of, because you could run an amazing lap and think, that's going to be hard to beat, but you're only against yourself and you don't have another perspective to show, oh, I can take a corner like this, or if I take this line going into the back straight of Road Atlanta, for the sake of example, I can see where it gets important to have somebody you can kind of bounce ideas off of. Now, I do want to quickly throw out, Alikos did shave about 800ths off of his time, and if he can carry this on, I think we'll be seeing a very nice lap as we see him come around the final corner, and looks like we'll just have enough time to get one more flying lap in, and we have a last-minute upset, folks. Alikos takes the top spot in qualifying with a 117.362. It is now on Flobster to respond in kind. We are out of time. This is going to be the final lap for Flobster. Flobster is down almost 800ths of a second right now. So I think Flobster is going to feel the pressure, at least just a little bit, as he goes through turns 7 and 8 with some exuberance. Taking a look at Prod Captain Slow, currently sitting in P5. Let's see what his final benchmark time will be. It is going to be a 118.113. Taking a look at PDX Sim, and he's down 0.04 of a second on his personal fastest, as is Negative Waves down 0.03 of a second. The consistency these guys are showing for these final laps is incredible. Making our way over to IORT Fishtail, coming around for the final time. And as he rounds the last corner, what is it going to be? It's going to be in the 118s. He is down 0.8, almost a whole second of his personal fastest. And Flopster was only able to shave 0.04 of a second. So there's an 8,000 second difference between himself and P1. That's got to sting at least a little bit. Making our way over to Alicos. Will he repeat history and go purple yet again? Coming in for the final time, and it is going to be no, down almost a second himself. What a qualifying session we have seen from all of our drivers. And it looks like Drobo is out of fuel. That is unfortunate to see, but he's able to limp it home and get across the line 17 seconds down. But again, out of fuel. Oh, my goodness. And I believe that is everybody across the line. Wid, thank you so much for lending your time to us and being in the booth with us for this split. It really means a lot.
Yeah, no problem. It was a pleasure. And it was really nice seeing all these guys driving out there. Alicos and Flopster. I'm watching out for them now. I know where I'm looking. I mean, I already had my eye on Alicos, but we'll see, you know. Those guys are fast.
But hey, they didn't touch your time. That's the important thing.
Surprising, because Alicos was putting up some really fast times in practice. So I didn't answer like your question kind of before of who to watch, but Alicos was going to be the person I was watching.
Is it because Jorge's on Saturday?
Well, yeah, and I'm kind of bummed. Like he's been a Friday guy this whole time, and now he's Saturday. I guess we'll have to meet in the finals.
Or we could just write a petition to the commissioner to force him onto Fridays.
Agreed. Let's do that.
All right, we're petitioning McNaughty. Bring back Jorge. But yeah, I think you and Alicos are going to have some really good bouts this upcoming season. You two are the forerunners right now for Division A, at least in terms of familiar faces. So I can't wait to see what you guys have in store for us. But making our way over to the classified results and to Leo.
Thanks, Toon. Well, the classified results follows as this. Alicos with a 117.362. Flopster is second to him with a 117.370. Followed by him is Negative Waves with a 117.667. And then we have Drobo with a 117.943. PROD Captain Slow with a 117.991. PDXM PSV R2 with a 118.142. IROT Fishtail with a 118.283. And then we have MK3TTWHR with a 118.297. Moving on down the grid is Angry Fredbird with a 118.590.
Thank you, Leo. For the aforementioned Fredbird, that's got to be less than ideal. But we still have one more split, so there's plenty of time to see where the chips fall. I think that Fredbird does have a chance to salvage a Division B run this season, should everything fall into place. But Slow-Mo, what were your thoughts on the second split of pre-qualifying?
Yeah, well, you know, we know these guys are going to put up some blistering times. So you saw two of them that were right there at 17.3. You know, not too far off of Wid's time. It wasn't quite there, but you know, man, shaping up to have some very, very good racing throughout our seventh season of the NRL. As far as Fredbird goes, I would tell you he's probably pretty pleased with that. I think that was really more or less his target time to put up for today. So, he's probably pretty happy with that, and hopefully it will get him a spot in the Division B grouping.
I, I'm glad that Fred Bird was able to hit his target mark. And yeah, I hope that it will get him a spot in Division B so we can see if he can maybe be a wild card factor for our Division B drivers on Friday. Leo, what were your thoughts on the second split?
Well, once again, times have been upset at the very end, as it always has continued here lately. Not surprised to see that happen, but as close as they are to Wid's time, he's got his work cut out for him, like he was saying. I'm excited to see what these guys could do, especially since they're brand new to the NRL and they have no idea what's in store for them.
That is an interesting point you bring on. But I think it's time we go and take a quick intermission and we can touch on that during split 3. So for all of you watching at home, please feel free to go get yourself a snack, top up your drinks, go to the bathroom, call your mom, take your dog out, do whatever it is you need. And we will be right back at you on the other side after this brief intermission. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We have had a great night so far, and we're still rolling. We've got one more split and some more goodies for you guys afterwards. So without further ado, let's go and hand the reins back to Leo to take a look and refresh our memories at what our drivers are up against this evening.
I appreciate it, Toon. Well, tonight, where we've been at for the past couple of splits, but for those that are just tuning in, we're at Road Atlanta in the newer Porsche 911 GT3R 992 22 model. It's going to be a 20-minute qualifying session with tire wear at 3 times, fuel consumption at 3 times, refueling at 2 liters a second, at a sunny but twilight time. Racing tires are going to be the softs, and that's the only tire available. And on over to Slow-Mo to break down the points.
Yep, thank you so much, Leo. So there are points through qualifying, something you haven't seen in the beginning seasons of NRL, but here we have them in the later seasons. So the top third for the respective days are going to get 5 points. It's based on where they finish in the full list. The middle third of qualifying is going to take home 3 points onto the first round, and the bottom third, risks being eliminated, will not get any points. And don't forget, there are only 14 spots for the Division A and 14 spots for the Division B. So we will have eliminations on both Fridays and Saturday driver.
Thank you very much, Slow-Mo. Making our way over to the driver lineup for this final split of the evening will be the True Serum, Fernando Button, IORT Azriel, Luis, Moose21, PHG Shaggy88, Robson, VIP JP Scale, and Zilla. Listed next to their names will be their Twitch, YouTube, Kick, or whatever streaming platform is applicable to them. So please feel free to take a look at these drivers' perspectives, but if you do, make sure you leave this tab unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. My, how time flies. We are already at our last split, and for those of you watching at home, it is a pleasure to have your company. Thank you for welcoming us into your lives for this evening. We are happy to be back and providing you all the top tier racing action and entertainment that the NRL demands, not only of our drivers, but us up in the booth and our world-class stewards and officials that do all the hard work behind the scenes. So we do have some drivers making a change from Saturdays to Fridays. I believe Moose is staying on Fridays because he was over here in season 6 as well. Wasn't he, Slow-Mo, or was he in Saturdays?
I think he was in Friday's split. Now you're asking me hard questions.
Good. It wouldn't be the NRL if I wasn't. Moose. We're conferring with production. All right. Okay. So for the sake of argument, this is the second season on Fridays, but we also have Fernando Button, IORT Azriel, as well as some other drivers who are either making their debut or their return. Returns such as Luis and as well as Shaggy88, as well as Zilla, but newer faces as in VIP JP Scale. So I think we're going to be seeing a good shakeup, and really this last split is going to be really defining what the cutoff is and the bubble for these drivers making it into Division A, B, or reluctantly going home. So Leo, do you think your prediction is true on the cutoff that you had listed earlier?
I believe so, Toon. I believe it's going to be within 100th of that at least, even though I kind of priced right, Slow-Mo there. But I believe that's where it's going to land. As I've seen from the times in the last couple of splits, that's relatively close to where it's going to be.
All right, thank you very much. And I am getting confirmation from Wid over in the chat. He was on Fridays. Thank you, Wid. And, Slow-Mo, apparently you're making a guest appearance somewhere. Very nice. Now, taking a look on track, we jump on board with VIP JP Scale, who is on the latter half of his outlap. He's part of Team Victory in Performance Racing, driving on the Logitech Pro Wheel with a manual gearbox, and is indeed making his NRL debut. If these last two splits are anything to go off of, we're going to be seeing quite some miraculous things from JP Scale, and we'll also be having some rather high expectations. Our newcomers have really been making a name for themselves in this qualifying session for this evening, right, Salemo?
Yeah, they absolutely have. I mean, these guys they're keeping it tight. We haven't really seen anybody with a really bad qualifying time. We've definitely seen a lot of people with very competitive qualifying time. So, that bubble, as we've been talking about, is still very much up in the air. Honestly, I think any of us could be right. We're all pretty close. So it's going to be exciting to see where these guys finish after the end of this qualifying.
Yeah, this qualifying is definitely going to be, for lack of a better term, all the marbles. You go last, and you are basically cementing your place in the annals of NRL history. Now, as we take a look at Shaggy Doo, who gets a little bit squirrely and then goes offline to allow the truth to pass on by. Let's see how this is going to shake up for these two drivers, both esteemed NRL veterans. As Truth comes across the line at the time check with a 58.623. We're going to see what the benchmark is going to look like. I'm thinking somewhere in the 17 territory. The Truth Serum is part of Team Sector 7 Racing, driving on the Fanatec DD1. The last time we saw him was Season 6, Round 3, where he finished P8 at Tokyo Express East Clockwise. He's had 16 starts, 2 wins, 5 podiums, and 16 top 10s. So every race that Truth has been in, he's been in the top 10. So let's see what that means for our NRL veteran in the Truth Serum, who has the benchmark at the moment at a 118.008. Luckily, we have 17 minutes for these drivers to really get into a rhythm and make some beautiful, beautiful magic happen. As we see Azriel skating on around through the S-curves and heading towards turns 7 and 8. He's down 1,000th on his personal fastest lap, and up 1,000th on his personal fastest lap, and is currently right behind Shaggy Doo as they exit turn 8. And it looks like Azriel is having maybe a bit of connection. I'm not sure, but as we take a look at Azriel going through, I think we're going to be seeing a good time as he comes through the time check. He's down 0.08 of a second, but that is A-okay. Sun is coming down, track is cooling off, these cars are light, the tires are just getting warmed up, and looks like Azriel will be skating around turn 11, and down the hill we go. Where will we see Azriel land? It looks like it's going to be down 0.2 of a second as we jump on over to Moose 21. Coming across the line, down 0.03 of a second. Now, Moose 21 is the founder and proprietor of Moose Mafia Racing, driving on the Fanatec DD Pro. Last time we saw him was in Season 6 Division A Finals, where he finished P3 at Daytona Road Course. He's had 17 career starts, 2 wins, 8 podiums, and 16 top 10. Moose is a formidable adversary for the drivers on track, a familiar face, and just a wonderful guy for those that know him. Currently down a little over 1/10 of a second and coming up into turn 7. Let's see if he can shave off any of that time. Going into third gear for turn 6. Going down into first for turn 7, and up the hill we go. Getting up into third gear and hugging the left side to minimize the amount of distance it takes to get around the track. Coming up towards the time check for the back half of the circuit, what will he be sitting at? He is down 0.3 of a second, almost 4, heading into corners 10 and 11. Into the hard braking zone and bringing it on in, missing the apex a little bit on both ends and feathering the throttle on out. It's a good way to get these kinks out, and he goes into the box to either get on some fresh tires or add a little more fuel to the car. We'll just have to see. Moving on over to Luis, coming through turn 11 and into the final corner. How is this going to shake up? And it looks like Luis is also going to be opting to go into the box. Moving on. Now, taking a look at Luis's driver card, he is a free agent driving on a DualSense controller. We last saw Luis in Season 5, Round 3, where he had a DNS at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He's had 8 starts, 2 wins, 3 podiums, 7 top 10s, and was the Division B, I believe, champion for Season 3 of the NRL. So I think Luis is going to have quite a bit to prove. And oh, wow, there's a guy crying on the side of his car. Huh. But I think Luis is going to have quite a bit to prove making his return to the NRL for the 7th season. Looking at PHG Strychnine, who unfortunately has a half-second penalty on the back half of the track and has to go into the penalty zone. Fuel's looking a little worse for wear, so I think this might be a good time to go and have an in-lap. Leo, with the amount of familiar faces within this split, I am noticing that a lot of them are kind of doing what we expect more or less from NRL drivers, where they start a little lower, then they start chipping away at the time, as opposed to the last 2 splits where everybody's just been guns a-blazing the moment the flag dropped. Do you think it could just be the time in which they race, or do you think it's a habit that's been instilled in them over so many seasons of racing?
I think it's the latter. I think it's the maybe the discipline that they have of, let's start slow and kind of build up to it, you know? The new guys are full force right out of the gate, which is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's actually kind of refreshing to see, but most of these guys, I mean, yeah, they've been around since not the inception, but for quite a while now. So they kind of know the song and dance that they got to do, you know. They probably had a little bit more time to practice since they're in 3rd split. So they probably were like, okay, this is what I can do. And I think they just like working up to it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, because they're definitely following a pattern for their qualifying, which is definitely akin to what we're used to. Slomo, what do you think is causing these drivers to start chipping away at their time, as opposed to the last 2 splits where everybody was just raring to go from the start?
Yeah, I mean, don't forget the car gets a little bit lighter as they get to burn some fuel through. You know, you get your tires warmed up, and maybe come in, get a fresh set. You know, you're going to see a lot of these guys keeping the fuel down at or below that quarter of a tank level. So they're really, you know, it gives them an opportunity to kind of manage the weight, you know, the fuel weight that they're carrying as you get a little bit further on in qualifying.
All right. Now, I didn't even think about the fuel portion when we had Wid in the booth. That would have been a really good talking point for him, because I would have wanted to know what the car felt like. And looks like Robson did a little bit of a drift and is moving offline as to not impede any other drivers. For information on Robson, they are a free agent making their NRL debut. So given the looks of this driver card, Robson is a very mysterious driver. We don't know anything about them. They could have at least told us they like long walks on the beach or something. All right, play close to the chest. I understand. Now, Robson is currently sitting at a 118.815, currently a second down on Detruserum, who is leading the charge with a 117.765. Looks like VIP JP Scale is down 15 seconds on his personal fastest lap at the moment, coming through turn 10 and 11. We're going to have to see what the next lap has on offer for JP Scale, as that fuel light is on. That car is looking rather scarce, but the tires do have a good little bit of life in them. Now making the way through turn 1, JP Scale is going up the hill, staying in 4th gear and coming into the chicane, getting onto that curbing for turn 2, coming around turn 3, staying off of the curbing, and making his way down through turns 4, 5, and 6 through the S's. Getting on the curb at turn 5, coming out in turn 6. doesn't look like he ran too wide on that one and was able to shave 600ths of a second off his personal fastest lap. And given the current delta, that would put him 2 thousandths of a second behind Moose 21. Speaking of Moose 21, Moose is currently out of turn 8 and heading on up the hill behind Fernando Button. That slipstream is definitely going to be beneficial for him in this qualifying session, as that will get him closer and closer to not only Asriel, but the Truth Serum. And he's able to shave off 700ths of a second coming into the hard braking zone. Does he have enough space to get on the anchors without braking? He does. He did not have to break slipstream for that, and coming through turn 11 and up the hill, will he ride the slipstream of Fernando? No, Fernando goes wide, and Moose holds onto his line. Right on the daylight out of fourth and into fifth. He's able to shave 900ths, almost a tenth of a second off of his personal fastest lap. I think if he's able to keep that momentum, we'll be seeing him within thousands of Truth by the end of this qualifying session. Now taking a look at Shaggy 88 over in P8, currently running a 118.842. 200ths, almost 300ths of a second behind Robson, coming through turn 2 with exuberance and taking it gingerly around turn 3, moving down the hill for turns 4, 5, and 6. Just moving through with grace and ease. Getting onto the curb through turn 6 and is down 800ths of a second. That's looking really good for Shaggy Doo at the moment. Coming into turn 7, getting onto the curbing a little bit on both the entrance and exits. Hard braking for turn 8, and on up the hill we go for the back half of this circuit. Looks like Dark and Azrael has gone to the pit with 1% fuel, playing a very dangerous game. Moving our way over to the timing board, or the time check, and looks like Shaggy is over a quarter of a second up on his personal, or down on, however you want to look at it, on his personal fastest lap. Coming through turn 11, will he be able to carry that momentum and get 3/10 down, or did he slow down a little bit and it's looking more of a quarter of a second? We'll have to find out right now. As he comes across the line, he's up just under 2/10 of a second. That propels him up into P7, 700ths of a second behind Luis. Coming on up the hill into turn 2, looks like Shaggy's finally getting into a rhythm, as are the rest of these drivers. So I think we'll be seeing some last minute magic happen within the next 7 minutes, under 7 minutes of this race, or this qualifying session. Coming through turn 6, we'll go and take a look at Robson, who is currently a little over a quarter of a second behind VIP JP Scale, and is a little over a tenth ahead of Luis. Coming into turn 7, we're seeing Robson take it nice and neat as he comes through turn 8 and starts his trek up the hill. How's everything looking on your end, Slummo?
You know, the Truth actually just put a little bit of a better time up, bettered himself up into 17.525, so getting a little bit closer to that 17.2 and 17.3 that we saw in Split 1.
Honestly, I think Truth is definitely on track for that, so we're going to have to see how it looks for him on the Delta as this qualifying session goes through. We're approaching the last 5.5 minutes of this race, so it's getting to be crunch time for these drivers. As Robson comes into turn 1, we're going to go and take a look at Darkin Azrael, who is getting ready to come into turn 1 himself. And on up the hill we go. Azrael is sitting with a 117.934, 4/10 of a second behind a True Serum, who is our current qualifying leader. Now, Azrael is definitely putting up some very commendable times, but will it be Division A worthy time by the end of it? We'll have to wait and see. He's up a tenth on his current fastest lap, so it's looking a little promising if Azrael can keep this momentum rolling for the remainder of this qualifying session. Azrael comes through turns. Yes?
Sorry to jump in. If you notice there on the picture-in-picture, the Truth has unfortunately ran out of fuel on the back straight.
Oh my goodness, that is not a good time to run out of fuel, especially because these drivers are doing everything they can to chop away at their time. It really makes you think how easy it is to misjudge your fuel level in a qualifying session, or even in a race. You get so focused on everything else around you that fuel almost becomes an afterthought because you're trying to focus on so many different aspects of your driving and also the task at hand. Looking at Asriel, though, he is able to shave 1,000th of a second off of his time. Making our way over to Moose, who is not running the best of laps at the moment as we approach the 4 minutes remaining section of this qualifying session. Shaggy is taking a wide, or staying in the center of the road, I should say, and is making his way down the hill, as is Moose, and Moose comes across the line, is about 2 seconds down. Now, looking at Moose's fuel level, I don't think he's really going to have to worry about boxing at any point in the next 3.5 minutes. He approaches Robson really quick, though, and Robson does have the wherewithal to get out of the way and yield to the faster car. Good show by Robson. Moose is blitzing through turns 4, 5, and 6. Let's hope the car will stay beneath him, and it does. Unfortunately, he's 0.2 of a second in the red at the moment as he goes into turn 7. I think what seems to be the optimal way to go around this, because we did see drivers in splits 1 and 2 go guns a-blazing, and then split 3 the drivers kind of eased into it. But now the track is cooled off and we're getting into that section of the race, or of the qualifying, where the times are naturally going to slow down. Slow-mo, do you think easing into it was the right call, or do you think there were some other factors that went into it?
Well, you know, these guys all come in with their qualifying strategy, and everybody does it a little bit different. So, you know, there's still at least a couple laps left for these guys to see if their plan works out any better than we saw in the first couple splits. But, you know, honestly, I think, you know, the plans you saw the guys in splits 1 and 2, getting that hot lap up early, putting that banker in, you know, while the sun's maybe still up a little bit, seemed to maybe play a big difference. Although, like Vid said, he was, you know, purple even into the final lap, minus some of the last section challenges that he had.
You are absolutely correct. He did say that, and it makes me wonder if Witt was going purple through the first half of the track. Where in the back half of the circuit did he start running into issues? Because I know turns 10 and 11 can be tricky. Turns 7 and 8 also can catch you unaware. It's interesting. Although I am getting a question from the chat. It looks like no. I'm getting word from production. There is no slip. There's no time progression either. So it looks like slipstream is actually not beneficial. So I've learned something as well. Now, Leo, as we approach the last 1.5 minutes of this race, we do see drivers trying to, for lack of a better phrase, give a Hail Mary. Do you think it's going to pay dividends, or do you think it's too much of a gamble to pull off at this stage in qualifying?
Well, it depends on what they got going for them. If they know they're down already, then there's no point. If they're feeling pretty good about their lap and they know when the time check comes up, like, hey, I'm already above what I think I am, I would go all in and push it to the limits and, you know, see what happens, honestly. For example, Lewis here, unfortunately, is down. So this lap is already done, so he's probably just going to send it on this one.
I could see that. And we are approaching the last 15 seconds of this proper qualifying, so this will be the last hurrah for a good portion of these drivers. Now, as we jump on over to Asriel, who is doing a spot of rally crossing and is drifting the car, but is able to save it. My goodness, Asriel, you just know how to save a car. And goes for a bit of a spin across the line. Unfortunate. And Robin goes rally crossing as well. My goodness, everything unfolded in that one, and we're only in pre-qualifying. If that is an omen of things to come for the actual races themselves this season, I think we're in for quite a bit of suspense that might give Formula One a run for their money. And Detrucium comes across the line, and it doesn't appear that anybody will be able to dethrone Truth in this split. Now, keeping an eye on Luis, who is coming down for the final time into turn 10 and 11. Kicking up a little bit of grass in turn 11 and belting it down the hill for the final time this qualifying session. And coming across the line with a 118.853, down a quarter of a second on his personal best. And keeping an eye on the other drivers, I believe that is everybody crossing the line. So it's been an unexpected qualifying session. Let's go and take a look at the replay for Asriel. So Asriel narrowly misses the wall, is able to save the car, but just, and belts it across the line. And just, was there a handbrake or,
I think he may have gotten on top of the grass, and with the connection issue, it looked like he smacked the barrier, but I think he got on top of that grass and it just hooked the wheel, and his tires were already dirty from the first go around on being on the grass, and just couldn't save it after that.
Okay, so it was basically a domino effect then.
Indeed.
All right. Well, luckily nobody was harmed in the finishing of this race. Everybody had crossed the line, so luckily there was nothing that would be detrimental to the fellow drivers. Now, as we bring this split to a close, Sloan, got any key takeaways from this one?
Wow, I'm kind of looking at where some of these guys finished. I'm pretty surprised to see Shaggy down as low as he was. Looks like he might not have had as good of a fall. I was going to ask Leo, though. He drives the automatic, and, there's an ongoing debate, right? Is manual better than automatic? Most people will tell you that manual's better, but we've seen Shaggy do very well with the automatic. Do you think that played a factor in maybe not getting a little bit of a lower qualifying time for him today?
I mean, slightly, but I feel like since he's done it for so long that he knows how to compensate for that weakness. So it's not as terrible, but it does hinder him slightly. Could just be having an off day. Maybe this combo just didn't suit him.
Yeah, there are definitely plenty of factors that could be at hand there. But Slow-Mo, would you like to do the honors of giving us the classified results for Split 3?
I would love to. Thank you, Toon. So currently here we have S7R's The Truth Serum, who came in with a 117.525. Darken Asriel is next on that list with a 117.933. Then we have Moose 21 with a 118.040. VIP JP Scale with a 118.099. Robson with a 118.474. Luis there with a 118.580. You have Shaggy Doo, as we talked about there, with a 118.603. PHG Strict 9 with a 118.765. And then we have BHR Fernando B with a 118.842, rounding out our final qualifying session today.
Thank you very much, Slow-Mo. As I do take a look at the chat, viewers watching at home actually do bring up a good point. This split really did shake up the bubble for Division A and Division B. We saw a lot of high 17s and 118s. So this is honestly, this has already thrown my predictions out the window. Does anybody want to take a stab at what the second guess would be for the bubble? Starting with you, Slow-Mo.
Ooh, wow. I'm gonna say that it's probably in the bubble for A to B is probably in the 18-1 maybe area.
Okay. What about you, Leo?
I'm sticking with what I got, which was
All right.
the low 17s, 117s to mid 17s?
Yeah.
Yes, right around there, and then 17.5 to 18.5 is what I believe. But we'll see how it goes when all the numbers are crunched. Because I'm glad I'm not doing it because I am
Right.
terrible at math.
Which is fair. But we'll have to wait and see on how everybody falls. In the meantime, we're going to take one final break. And when we come back, we'll have some little goodies for all of you watching at home, as well for our drivers who did make the cut. So please sit tight, and we'll be right back at you here shortly. Well, welcome back, everybody. Toon, Leo, Slow-Mo here with you. Thank you all so much for welcoming us into your lives this Friday evening. It's been a pleasure to have your company. And what a pre-qualifying session we have had this season. It has been a great time so far. Want to take a quick moment and give another thank you to the DGDR podcast, Trails and Custom Construction LLC, Hanky's Tavern, and Little J CPA for your support this season. It means the world to us. Now we go and take a look at the qualifying standings for the night overall. Starting with our drivers who finished in Division A, we will be seeing, taking the top spot for Division A on Friday, we have Wid. One moment, folks.
Yeah, Tune, while we're waiting, keep in mind there were some early qualifying sessions, so you may see a couple names on this list here that we didn't see run tonight.
You know, you have a very good point. So that adds even more of an air of mystery, but let's see where everybody fell between tonight and the earlier qualifying splits over Wednesday and Thursday. So taking the charge will be S7R's Wid, followed by Bacon Dance, with Shred rounding out our top three for this pre-qualifier. Taking P4 will be VIP Left to Pass You, followed by Alicos 1 with Flopster in tow. We have Negative Waves, The Truth Serum, IRT Azrael, A Higher Place, Hondo, Santa Miguel, Audgie the Squirrel, and Lyric, all qualifying for Division A this season. I'm getting word from production that we did have the automatic qualifiers from last season as well. I completely slipped my mind. I'm very sorry about that. Taking P15 in the overall qualifying will be Drobo, followed by Prod Captain Slow, followed by PDX Sim, PSVR2, and IORT Fishtail. Making our way down the order, we've got MK3TWHR, followed followed by Moose 21, VIP JP Scale, Z Eller, Sugar Shuffles, VIP Rowdy Burns, MD Hop, Super Fun Happy, Angry Fredbird, and Robson. Going on over to the next set of drivers, we have Luis, PHG Shaggy Doo, PHG Strict 9, Fernando Button, Corridor 71, HWP Viking Wolf 73, Bells 1S, PHG Jersey, and Zilla. Wow, there really were a lot of drivers that came through. This is definitely going to be a very interesting season when it's all said and done. But as many of you may be curious, I think it's about time that we get ready and take a look at the reveal for round 1 this season. And honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the show, and I know our drivers are going to be chomping at the bits to see what our first round is going to be. So, looks like we are at Watkins Glen. Ooh, lovely track for Division B. All right, so we have our Division B drivers in Watkins Glen Short Course in the Suzuki Swift Sport Group 4 car. It will be a grid start with false start check. BOP will be on with brake balance allowed. Racing softs and racing mediums will be available. No required tire. They will be doing this for 24 laps, 3 times tire, 3 times fuel with a 3 liters a second refuel rate and heavy damage. That refuel rate is going to be interesting. Slow-mo, what do you think of this?
Oh, that's exciting. I mean, that Swift is a lot of fun. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys that do some of the streams that have made that thing look fun. I personally am not a fan of the Swift, but that's just my own personal preference. That is going to be a fun race to watch.
It definitely is. Leo, what are your thoughts on this combination?
I absolutely love it. Give me a front wheel drive car any time of the day. And while it's not the Mazda, it's a close second. It's going to be some really close racing and kind of akin to the Civic type racing where they were all the same kind of car, and the Mazdas, Miatas as well. So it's going to be some door banging. There's going to be some questionable moves, but it's a fun little car and a fun track. I'm excited for that one. That one I would be more than welcome to do.
Yep, and for the drivers that do go to Division B after all is said and done, the race details will be posted in the NRL server, so make sure you keep an eye out on it this evening into tomorrow, just to make sure you can get your practice lobbies up and get cracking. Now making our way over to Division A, what do we got? Oh Lord, it's Tokyo Expressway. Okay, so for our Division A round, our drivers will be at the very polarizing Tokyo Expressway, south counterclockwise. They will be racing in the Lamborghini Murcielago LP 640 2009. It will be a grid start with false start check. BOP will be on. They will be racing at midnight, so that track temperature will not be doing anybody any favors. You will have racing softs and racing mediums available to you. You will be doing 18 laps with 15 times tire wear and 2 times fuel consumption, a refuel rate of 3 liters a second, and heavy damage. Leo, I'm gonna start with you. 15 times tire wear on racing softs and mediums. I'm sorry. I'm getting word from production that these are actually sports softs and sports mediums. Small technical mishap. So these are sport tires with 15 times tire. So fret not. That actually does change my question. What do you think of this combination, Leo, with it being sports and 15 times tire wear at midnight in a rear engine car like this Lamborghini?
I don't have too much experience with this car, but I know a certain broadcaster would love to run this since it's right up his alley. That would be TK's. That is his go-to is some sports tires on regular old cars, but I'm assuming if it's like the regular Lamborghinis, getting on the brakes is a little sketchy. So it's definitely a Division A race where these guys are going to have to be on top of their game and figure out how to get this car around this twisty turny track.
That is definitely going to be the tricky bit. Sports tires and everything. I don't know. Slow-mo, what do you think? And do you have any expectations for our Division A drivers?
I mean, that's a handful on sports tires with that track. You know, it almost feels like a combo maybe created with the help of Simon, something like that. That looks like that's going to be fun to watch. I do not envy them, though. I mean, personally, I would do terrible in that combination, but we know the A drivers are going to bring it.
Yeah, if there's anybody that can handle it, it will be our Division A drivers. And I think this is definitely going to start the season off right and definitely set the pace of what to expect moving forward for these next 5 rounds of racing. Now, please make sure you do tune in tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. British summertime. Yeah, British summertime, and that would make it 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please make any conversions to your local time zone where applicable, as we have our pre-qualifying hosted by Tati and TK's. And I believe with all of that, that is all we have for you guys for this evening. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in. It has been an honor and a privilege to have you all here with us at the debut of the NRL 7th season. Please make sure you tune in tomorrow, and we will see you all next Friday for round 1 of the season 7th season of the NRL. My apologies. You all take care of yourselves, and we will see you in about a week. Bye-bye for now.